I was just going to ask, did you watch the rugby, Dave? Please tell me.
No, Andrew. You know I
Actually,
didn't watch the rugby.
it's okay if you didn't, because the score wasn't very favourable to us at the end. I was there live at the game, best atmosphere ever. I think 62,000 people. The plane came over twice.
I saw it. It was so cool because I watched it, but okay.
At least Cully watched first half, Dave.
Yeah, first half.
Hey, I was with some friends and they were far more interested in the hockey finals that happened.
But we'll see now. We'll see what happens to Boca. Now, if you have just joined us, ladies and gents, this is Andrew and Dave's Coffee Chat every Monday, all about property. And, of course, it's Women's Month. And today, Dave, we've also got Cully with us. Welcome, Cully.
Aloha. How you guys doing? Hi, Dave. How are you doing?
Hey, Kylie, good to have you on.
And we've got some awesome guest speakers who'll be joining us in about 5 minutes' time. And yeah, so please take a friend. And if you're any woman that's interested in getting involved in property, or anyone for that matter, because it is Women's Month, of course, please tag them in, let them know about the session. These sessions last about 45 minutes, and we have to answer your questions, to support you, to connect you. We're also going to run through what events are happening this week, what events are happening next week, and how can you get involved. So please tag a friend, and that'll be fantastic. So, Dave, should we start with what's going to be happening this week?
Yeah, 100%. We can quickly run through what's happening this week. So first up is Wednesday at 1 o'clock. I'll be working with TPN, who are hosting a quick webinar to talk to you about how their reports work and how to pull the reports and everything that needs to go into understanding and comprehending those reports. So Waldo from TPN will be hosting, and I'll be on the back end making sure everything goes smoothly. So let me just share that link for that.
Okay, cool. And what time is that, Dave?
That's 1 o'clock on Wednesday. And then on the 20th, maybe Kylie can tell us about this one. There is a women's breakfast. I know Tanya's also going to be there.
I'm super excited. Hey, on the 20th, I'm going to be hosting the SAPIN Women's event in celebration of Women's Month. We're going to have amazing prizes, guest speakers. It's an absolutely phenomenal event that basically encourages and nurtures property for women, first-time buyers such as myself, resident entrepreneurs, and basically anybody that wants to take on the journey of being, a property entrepreneur and a property investor, and is a woman. That's kind of crucial. But we have amazing prizes. We have gift bags. So you guys need to get your tickets on the 20th of August. That's going to be in Woodmead, Johannesburg.
And tell me, do you know who the guest speakers are yet or not?
Should I tell them?
You can if you
Should
know.
I
I
know a few. Let's see how many people actually join, and then we'll see if I give you like a tidbit, like 1 or 2 amazing speakers that are going to be there.
It's going to be fantastic. It's a brunch, eh?
Yes, it's a brunch. Everything fabulous, amazing, and educational, and just an amazing support system.
Yeah, it's going to be great. I think there's going to be probably about 100 ladies or so, eh?
Yeah, we're looking at about 100. We're gunning for 150, so you can still buy your tickets. And yeah, it's a beautiful event.
Yeah.
Come dressed to the 9 because ladies are going to be representing. But yeah, we have such an amazing event, just like up there for you guys. I don't know how to describe it because it's so awesome. Like, when you have like the secret to something and you're like, yo, you guys, like, you don't know what we have planned for you. Like, it's going to be amazing.
So I reckon what we do is we announce some of those guest speakers a bit later on. Eh?
Yes, a bit later on.
So that's the 2 events for this week, Wednesday and then Saturday. And I know that next week, Dave, when's the public event? It's the 23rd, right? 23rd of August. I know that today, Dave, is the day for early bird tickets. So that's going to be at the Bryanston Country Club. It's SAPIN's public event, which means it's for our members and the general public. And that's a great opportunity to start networking, meet other like-minded property investors. ABSA Bank will be the keynote speaker. So there's a strong team coming from ABSA to talk about how they can support every single one of you along your property journey. It starts at 6:30. So glad to be back to those type of events again. Probably 100, 150 property investors in a room. So if you're looking for deals, if you're looking for money, if you're looking to network, if you're looking for motivation, the 23rd of August is the event for you to be at. I'll be there. Kelly will be there. The team will be there. The members will be there. If you do want to take advantage of the early bird tickets, Dave has posted a link in the comments box. And please tell all your friends about that event. Quite a few people have just joined us. If you have just joined us, it's Andrew and Dave's Coffee Chat and Kelly's Coffee Chat today as well. And today is all about property and support and Women's Month. So we will we will be bringing Tanya Haffern and Shadi on a little bit in a few minutes' time. If you have any questions for Tanya or Kali or myself or Dave, any property questions, please pop them into the comments box now, and we will address all of your questions. So, Dave, are there any other events that you want to talk about, or should we bring on Tanya and Shadi?
Maybe the one other thing to highlight is the property show that's happening up in Joburg. That's next weekend.
Yeah.
I believe you guys have some tickets arranged for some members. Maybe you want to give us the high level over there.
The private property show.
Yeah.
So yes, the private property show being at the Sandton Convention Center. Pre-COVID, we were at all of the shows. Again, it's 2 full days, Saturday and Sunday, and there's all various stalls that happen at the Sandton Convention Center at the show. From attorneys to SAPIN, to education companies, to property brokers, to ABSA bank stands. So it's basically a show for property investors, whether you're a first-time buyer or an experienced investor. They've got 3 different pods. There's a first-time buyer pod, which is, it's like a workshop. So there's different workshops throughout the day. Then there's the investor pod. So that's a corner of the room where it's all different speakers talking about the property investments. What's what I'm looking for? The property investment here in South Africa, I can't think of the word. And then you have the sellers and the renter stand. So it's, again, you're probably looking at 4,000 or 5,000 people walking through there on Saturday and Sunday. So again, networking, education. That's the last weekend of August. We're going to be there the whole weekend, which is great. So if you just want to come along and speak to us at SAPIN, please come see us at our stand. So there's actually 3 big events happening this month, which is exciting.
It is. And I think they're also awesome. What you forgot to mention is with our public event today is the last day.
I did actually mention that.
You did mention
that.
Okay, yeah. We need to remind them that today is the last day that you can get your early bird tickets, guys. So you must literally click on the link in the chat box put by Dave, and then you can get your early bird tickets for the 23rd of August.
Yes, fantastic. So that is what's happening this month. I was going to say this month. But let's bring on our first guest speaker, Tanya Haffern. Is she out there, Dave?
Yeah, Tanya's with us.
Getting quite a few people. And then Simone's just going to send me the link to send to loans, which is cool. Hello, Tanya. How are you? Shame. Is it the internet playing up again? We will persevere. Don't worry, Tanya. We'll persevere. So I've known Tanya for a number of years. There we go.
Awesome.
I was just saying, I've known you for a number of years, Tanya, and you've been investing in South Africa and the UK, and you come with a wealth of experience when it comes to property. And apparently you've got a book called Bricks for Chicks. But before we get to Bricks for Chicks in the book, could you start off just by introducing yourself, a bit about yourself, and you're also going to be joining us on Saturday, which is fantastic. Over to you, Tanya. She's quite still there.
She is. I think there's just a bit of a delay.
So we'll give her a few seconds.
Yeah. Technology is not favorable to all of us.
No, it's not.
I would know.
We'll give it a few seconds. And tell me, Dave, has Shadi managed to join?
Shadi has joined, but we obviously can't do a sound check because we're live. So we'll roll the dice on Shadi in a few minutes.
Well, let's roll the dice and see if we get Shadi's voice and video. Let's do this. I reckon it's going to work.
You're more optimistic than I am. Hi, Shadi. How are you doing?
How's it, Shadi?
Hi, how are you? Hi, Andrew. How are you? Hi, Kali. How are you?
Hi, Shadi.
Very good.
I'm good. Thanks to you, Shadi.
I'm good.
Excellent. So Shadi, so for everyone watching this, Shadi is one of our members at the SA Property Investors Network, and Shadi's done a few deals. So Shadi, it is Women's Month, and first of all, we want to know a bit more about you. You know, what do you do? How long have you been in property? I want to get into a conversation with you on the challenges you faced. I believe the 3 properties you got, or the properties that you do own, are financed by ABSA. Is that right?
Yes, I do. There are properties that I own separately, and there are properties that I'm joined with my husband.
Okay, fantastic.
Yes, because when we met, I already, had my own property, and he also had his own property. and we continued separately, but at some point we joined, you know, together as a business. Yes.
Okay, great. Now, just tell us a bit more about yourself. What do you do? Are you in property full time, or are you still working and doing property part time?
No, I can say I'm in property part time, but I'm still working full time. And actually, my dream is to retire at the age of 55 so that it can be full time in property. And even though it's part time, but you know, I try by all means to put, you know, time, you know, budget time for the property business, because at some point we decided to make it a business. It was sort of a hobby before, and then since 2018 it became a business. We realized that we wasted a lot of time doing it as a, you know, as a hobby, just buying, selling, buy, sell, but we realized now it's time to take it to a business level and treat it as a business. So since 2018, it's a business now, and we run a property business, and we still working full time. And it's quite a challenge, especially, you know, as a mother, as a wife, as a family member, as an employee, and you know, running a business. You know, my time has to be, you know, divided accordingly, so that, because we are, as a woman, it's also a challenge. You know, there are a lot of challenges that we come across. I mean, you know, sometimes you are expected to do wifely duties, motherly duties, and the business sort of becomes, you know, very low on the list of priorities. But it's something that I also want to, you know, want to see it succeed, so that we leave a legacy for the kids and the grandkids. So it's quite a challenge, but it's a challenge that I told myself that it's not going to fail. It has to work. I have to, you know, cut some things that I hardly go out with friends. There are family events that most of the time I have to skip, so that I can put time in the business, because the administration of the business, it's almost on my shoulders. Yes.
Let me ask you this then. Seeing you've categorically stated what challenges you have, what exactly is your strategy? Because you mentioned you used to just flip, which is buy and then sell, and then you realize, no man, I can actually do more with this. So what strategy are you currently looking at now?
Like the current properties that we have at the moment, we're renting them out. But what we're working on currently is to move to multi-let. Okay. And what the reason for that, with the current properties, there are properties that we at the present moment are out in the market because they are not profiting at all. So we came to a decision that we have to dispose them and buy a property which we'll use as a multi-let. And we currently, you know, looking for a multi-let property. We've been trying, but we haven't found yet.
So Shadi, do you have a coach or are you doing it by yourself?
No, Nico is our coach.
Ah, okay.
Yes, actually, he's the one who really made us face, the truth.
Okay. And are you gonna be on? Are you gonna be coming on Saturday for our women's?
Yes, yes,
Yes.
I will be there.
I will
Yes.
see you there.
Yes, yes. Nico made us face the truth because we were sort of holding, especially the property that's in my name. I mean, we're still paying a bond, maintaining the property and all that, but there's no positive cash flow. And there's another property which the bond is paid up, but there's still no positive cash flow because of the high levies. So we had to face that truth and take a decision that we are disposing.
Okay.
So we're still on.
Of coaching is that you honestly get vital and crucial education that sometimes you might have not thought of, because people sometimes want to retain an asset thinking that it's an asset, and then it turns out you're actually better off for your whole portfolio at large letting that go and pursuing other opportunities.
Very true. Like, I mean, coaching really has really given us that confidence. It has really made us face the reality of the properties that we have. We thought they were assets, but they were actually liabilities because they were not bringing in anything. They kept on taking money out, and we had to face that truth. I mean, you're holding something as a sentimental value, and thinking that I'm investing in property. I have 5 properties, but you're not actually making money out of those properties. So these 2 properties, and with Nico's help, that's when we took that decision that let's deal with this, and it really also taught us to have patience.
Yeah, I would assume so. So now we have Tanya. Are you back with us?
I am indeed.
Awesome! Thank you so much.
Yay!
And Tanya, just before we come on there, let's just go to Dave quickly and ask Dave. Dave, are there any questions so far? And who's joining us, Dave? Who's with us? If you have just joined us, this is Andrew, Dave, and Kali, and we got Tanya Haffern and Shadi joining us today. It is Women's Month, all about women. So please, if you're watching this, if you have any questions for Tanya or yourselves, please ask in the comments box. So Dave, who's with us today?
Yeah, a couple of our regulars are here today. No questions yet, unfortunately. We've got Carrie Lee joining us. We got Simone Myberg joining us. Alani's on. For those of you who don't know, Alani runs our customer success team. That's about all the people I can see so far. So guys, interact with us in the chat box. Let us know where you're joining from. If you have questions, do feel free to send those through, and I'll start keeping track of those to make sure we get all those questions answered.
Cool. Over to you, Kali.
Yes. So Tanya, before we were so rudely interrupted by the interweb, Andrew had mentioned that you have an amazing book that is coming out. Yes. Is it Chicks?
It has come out. Rex for Chicks.
Ah, so cool. And what exactly is it about?
Property investing for women. Property investing for women who kick ass, actually, is what is featured on the cover there. You can see that. So it's a lot of fun, and it's an entertaining look at property investing, because I think property investing can be so dry and dull and boring. And what I was aiming to do was to create something that makes property accessible, fun, and entertaining.
Okay. And how long have you been in the property space?
Since 2003.
Okay. And, how did you start your journey? Because a lot of the time, people have the main hurdle is that first buy, or that, that first step. So how did you take on your first step?
The first step really was by default. Friends of ours were immigrating to America, and they had a beautiful little 2-bedroom unit in Sandton. And we thought, well, let's buy it and let's see how that goes. So we did that, and it went really well. And then we kind of stumbled into a couple of other deals as we were going along. But all the time I kept saying to my husband, we actually need to invest in the UK, because I'm from Zimbabwe and I was concerned about where things were going in South Africa. So we went along to some training and then got ourselves a coach in the UK. And by default, as part of that package, got ourselves a coach in South Africa. It was none other than the incredible Andrew Walker. And Andrew helped us to see that the way we'd been structuring our portfolio was actually not correct. And I'd been pouring bucket loads of money every month into our portfolio. Andrew helped us tweak that portfolio. So now it puts money into our pockets at the end of every month. So I think jumping into property without the proper coaching, without the proper knowledge, can be a very expensive mistake.
Yes, that's absolutely true. And so with regards to like Chicks with Bricks, where can they find it? Like, where can they find the book? Their website? They
can find Bricks for Chicks at Exclusive Books. It's online at Take a Lot, Estoril Books, everywhere. It's all over the place. Just Google it. Or, of course, come along to the SAPIN event on Saturday, and I'll have some copies there.
I was actually going to ask you that. I was like, okay, you can't be this awesome and then not attend the SAPIN women event. So you're going to be seeing me there.
You definitely will be seeing me there. And Ilani's asked me to bring some of my books along, so I will have them there available to sign.
Awesome. Oh, and we get autographed copies.
Awesome.
Ladies, we're going to order you. How many times do you be the author? I'm just saying. Is what I'm asking.
Not often. Not often at all. So Gordon says, is the book only for chicks, or guys allowed to read it?
Guys are most definitely allowed to read it. I named it Bricks for Chicks as part of a conversation starter. Property can predominantly be driven by men, and it would be quite fun. The best part about it is that it tends to irritate a lot of men who say, well, why can't I read it? And I have to say that some of the best feedback that I've had so far has been from the gents. So absolutely, my book is exclusive, or not only for women, it's definitely for everybody.
So even though, like, you know, it's technically, it's for everybody, not technically, it's for everybody, but obviously it's for us. What would you say then are some of the challenges as a woman, you know, who's out there kicking butt in Bricks for Chicks? Like, what is the challenge typically for women in general and for yourself that you think you experience specifically being a woman in the property space?
Not entirely sure that there's problems that are specifically faced by women at all. I think that there's problems that we're all going to face, whether you're male or female. What I did find when I was traveling around South Africa training property is that when we would get to the running the numbers part, quite often, of course not always, this is a broad generalization, but quite often the women would tend to disconnect or defer any calculation discussion to their partners. And I, as a mother of 2 daughters, I feel very strongly that women need to be empowered on all levels. So I think it's more a matter of what you're particularly interested in. And I know that's a sweeping generalization to say men are better with numbers than women, because it's not true. But I thought that it would just be, let's level the playing fields. Let's make sure everybody understands how it works, because property investing is like anything. As soon as you understand the science behind it and the way that it works, then you can get out there and make it a massive success.
Oh, that is absolutely such crucial information. I think I absolutely agree with you in the terms that, you know, people have their own struggles. So it would be disingenuous to say it's just women, but I do think I would agree in the context that there's certain people who kind of clamp up when it comes to numbers. And, you know, the beauty with Bricks for Chicks is that, you know, it's for everybody. So if you do struggle with that, come to our SAPIN Women event on the 20th so she can sign this amazing book for you, where you will learn how to do the most.
So now, Tanya, you know, you've been in the industry since 2003. You're confident, and you know what you're doing in the property market. Think about someone that hasn't bought their first property yet. And in fact, there's a comment in here somewhere about, I did attend training, but I still feel stuck and afraid to make mistakes. Where do I start? So imagine someone's in their 20s or 30s. It actually doesn't matter what age. Yeah. What advice would you give someone in this market who wants to get started in property? What would you say to them?
I think that person is already ahead of the curve in that they've attended some training. I think that is absolutely crucial. You need to understand what you're getting yourself into. This is a lot of money, and there's a lot of noise in the market. Is property investing the right thing? Surely we should be investing in something else. You know, everything just feels so dangerous at the moment. And we've seen in the world over the past couple of years that everything that you thought you once knew can change in a heartbeat. Now you're out there about to sign on the dotted line for a property, get yourself into potentially a lot of debt. Is that the right thing to do? The only way to overcome that fear is to make sure that you're properly educated, to make sure that you've run the numbers on that property and understand whether that property is going to be putting money in your pocket at the end of every month or taking money out of your pocket. And then overcoming fear is the biggest thing that we all have to face in life. The closer we get to any dream that we're really interested in chasing is that this little monster of fear comes along and taps you on the back, on your shoulder, and says, "Oh, are you sure you want to be getting yourself into that? Isn't it safer to just go and sit quietly on the couch where your friends are, or just play safe?" But I say that you've got to take some chances, of course, calculated chances. Get out there, make the first move. Yes, it's scary, but as soon as you get into it, your confidence will start to build. And as with anything, you have to take that first step in order to start your property journey.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Tanya. So I think what we should do, Kylie, is just bring Shadi back on with Tanya and Dave. I know there's a question there from Ndiswa, which we will cover. Dave, should we tackle that one now, and then we'll go to Shadi?
Just busy grabbing it over here. So Ndiswa over here has got a property they're from Cape Town. They have a house that they're currently renting out, and they're considering to sell it to develop more units. Is it a good idea? Yeah.
Is that question they want to sell the house they live in? That
they want to sell the house that they're renting to get more units.
That we sell it to take the money to go develop somewhere else. Is that right?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. Look, is it a good idea? Does it make sense? If you're busy renting out a property, you're making X amount of rands and a certain percentage. If you could sell that property and use that capital, that equity in property to sweat harder, if that money can work harder somewhere else, if we can make a lot more money with the equity in that property, well, if that makes financial sense, then it is a good idea. I mean, Dave, what's your opinion on that?
You need to do the research, in all honesty. You need to be able to go in and make an informed decision with the numbers. So you can look at it and say, look, we can sell that property for X value now, and we can buy 4 other units for that price. And maybe there's a good return on investment. Essentially, what you're looking to run a calculation on is what is your return on equity. So how much equity do you have in the property, and how much return does that generate? And could you generate a better return in another asset? And I use the general term because this is the same research we do when we say, here's my stocks and shares. Should I sell my stocks and shares and buy a house? It's the same math. So you need to understand how much value do you have in there, and how much does that value give you every month, and if you can leverage it better. If you have a house in Cape Town, there's a very high likelihood that selling the house and buying 2 or 3 flats in an area like Joburg or PE will start to give you much better returns. But then there's also more unknowns with that, because then you've got risk to consider. You've got the challenge of remote managing properties. So there's quite a lot of conversations. And what you should probably do is spend some time with someone like Leon Castleman, who can help you with a blueprint, or get a coach who can help you, like Nico did with Shadi, and analyze the deal on a per level basis and see what alternatives there are.
Definitely.
Okay, and so Tanya, what would you advise to a question like that?
Absolutely support what Dave and Andrew have said. Really crucial to make sure that you understand what numbers we're talking about here, because on paper, it might sound like the right thing to do. Sell one property in order to gain multiple properties. But what will you really be getting out of those multiple properties? What's the rental demand like in that area? What kind of tenants are you going to be able to get in there? Do some research. Are the tenants likely to pay? How long are they likely to stick around for? So once you've done all of that kind of research, you might end up finding that actually the solid rental income that you're potentially getting from one house might beat the trouble of having to manage multiple tenants. But then again, if the income is a lot more of multiple units, then by all means, go for it. But I think the research, and definitely get a coach, get someone to talk through it with you to make sure that you're making the right call.
Okay, fantastic. And Shadi, what would you say your advice would be for first-time buyers, seeing as how, like you said, it was a quote-unquote hobby that in terms of buying properties earlier on, what would you say your advice is for first-time buyers who honestly want to get into this space?
I will really say, firstly, deal with the fear. Sometimes, fear really creates, a wall to take that action. But also, do research. I mean, and learn as much as you can, especially now because there's a lot of platforms where one can learn, there's coaches. We didn't have, coaches that time. Previously, I mean, when I bought my first property, I was just buying, it was just luck that when I sold it, the profit was very good. That's when I realized, that there's money in property. But I mean, nothing. There was no teachings or anything. It was just, when you just swimming, but you don't really know how to swim. And I would really advise, it's very important to have somebody, guiding you, a coach who will, run to and assist with, with the numbers, because, the numbers sometimes can be complicated. Sometimes they can, make you to, get scared. But with somebody who will be sitting down with and assist you, it helps to alleviate that fear.
Oh, that is actually amazing. And I believe we have a question from Simone. This is a bit broad. This is quite broad. But nonetheless, Dave, what would be the best strategy to follow in SA at the moment?
Yeah, from Simone. How long is the length of string defined South Africa? Where are you? What's important to you? There's a lot of variables that goes into you selecting a strategy. Most importantly for me as a coach, you need to ask yourself, what are your goals and what do you want to achieve? And that will determine the strategy. There's always good opportunities in every market and every sub-market. And you can look at in Cape Town as an example, there's some good opportunities here, but those are different opportunities to what's available in Johannesburg or in Durban or PE or George. So you need to understand what is your strategy and take that strategy and then go and apply it in a market that suits that strategy, because cash flow is likely more important to you. Whereas maybe for me, as an example, for me at the moment, I'm far more interested in generating large lump sums. So I'm far more interested in developments here in Cape Town because that's a good strategy. There's tons of opportunity, but there's a massive housing shortage in George. The yields are very good in George at the moment. So maybe you want to get to buy to let with possible good upside. Maybe you want to go multi-let, and then Joburg CBD, just outside of Joburg CBD is really good because you can get really high density. Maybe student accommodation suits your strategy. So your objectives need to be supported by your strategy, and don't chase what's popular or what's trending or what you think can work. Chase what works for you, and then figure out where can you go and do that, where can you execute a strategy that benefits you most. That's about all I have to say on that one. Just don't chase a rabbit that you're not trying to catch.
Yeah. Okay, that's fair. That's I knew exactly. I was like, this is a bit of a broad one, but let's see what our panel has to say. And Tanya, what would you say regarding that?
Yeah, I think Dave's exactly right. You have to go back, and it always goes back to you. What is your vision? What is your plan for your life? What is it that you want to be getting? Because, of course, property can provide all of these things, but you have to be very clear about what it is up front first. Because, of course, property is going to be hard work. It's going to take a lot of effort and a lot of energy from you. So you need to be clear why you're getting into it and what you want to be getting out of it. And then based on that answer, then you can say, right, now I need to be going to look for properties that I'm going to be able to buy and rent out. Or as Dave's doing at the moment, I'm looking for properties that I can buy and then flip in order to gain a lot of money. And once you've got your vision in mind and your strategy in mind, then you start doing research around the country. So to look at the whole country and go, oh, what should I do here? That's too big, too overwhelming. You'll find yourself doing nothing at all because it'll just frighten you back into a corner.
Yeah, 100%. And I think I always say to my students, it also depends on your level of experience, the time you have available, and your cash position. Somebody that's got no cash, they've got hardly any time, they've got zero experience. Now, I've met those type of people. I call them quadrant A investors, where they don't have the cash, or they don't have a job, or they do have a job, but there's no money left over. They might have the vision of becoming a developer, but that's not where they should start. They should start by doing a simple deal, a little rent-to-rent or small buy-to-let, or do a joint venture with somebody else. So I completely agree with you guys, and I think if we take into consideration, I mean, I met someone recently who's got about 100 million rand, right? Yes, he's got no experience in property, but he's got the cash. So if he can partner up with an experienced investor, this guy can go do a block of flats if he wants to because he's got the cash and he's got the time, just doesn't have the experience. So depending on where you are, if you're quadrant A, quadrant B, quadrant C, or quadrant D, if you don't know what I'm talking about, reach out to Alani and she'll explain it to you. Depending where you are right now will also help you understand where you should get started. Because yes, we all want to be developers, we all want to make lots of money in property. The reality is this is a long-term game, and you should try to keep things as simple as possible in the beginning. Okay. And what about, and Shadi, what do you think about that? What's your view?
Yes, I agree with you, Andrew. I think it depends from one person to the next, and it also depends on my goals. One has to sit down and write their goals. So what is it that they want to do? And how far do they want to go? And realistically, financially, where I am at that moment, and where do I want to go? And also, look at how much one can handle at a certain time, and with the guidance that one gets from the courses, the coaching, and all that. So maybe taking a certain area at a time, something that will be realistic and accessible.
Awesome. What's next, Kelly?
So we're going to go run through the events again.
Should we? The events for this week and next week?
Now they've warranted me telling them some of the surprises.
Okay. Also, we'll do that, and then we'll come back to Tanya and Shadi together. What is one piece of advice, or what would you like to leave the audience for today? But we'll do that at the end. So, Dave, what's happening this week?
Also, I'm just busy dropping a link in the chat box. There's also a link below this video where you can find all the links to everything. But at a high level, TPN at 1 o'clock on Wednesday, we're going to be talking about how to use the TPN platform, how to understand the report, how to that's in those reports. On the 20th, we've got the Women's Breakfast, which is going to be very exciting. That is in Johannesburg. It starts at 9 and we'll be running for about midday or so. So that's going to be a real fun one. And then the last one to highlight is our national networking event in Johannesburg. That's on the Tuesday, the 23rd, 6:30 is the start time for that one. All the upcoming events are on sapropertynetwork.com/SAPIN-events. And below this video, you can find everything you need.
And Kelly, are you hosting this Saturday?
Yes, I'm going to be hosting it. I'm super excited. I can't wait to see you guys. And also one of our guest speakers is Tanya.
Tanya, awesome. Gonna rock that stage, Tanya.
Can hardly wait.
Yeah, and then we also have Sayuri from top, and we have Nondumiso, which is like a huge deal.
Head of home loans at ABSA Bank, which is going to be great.
Which is going to be absolutely phenomenal, guys. So we have phenomenal female speakers that are going to be there. Like Dave said, starts at 9 o'clock. It is at Woodmead. You can get your tickets still. We have prizes, surprises, and all things. I was trying to find something that rhymes with prizes, but I can't.
You're doing property bingo. Tanya, have you ever played property bingo?
I haven't. But I have a feeling I'm about to.
I went to a birthday party at the Joburg Country Club, and we played property bingo. It's actually so fun. So she's going to do property bingo with all the ladies, which is super exciting. It's kind of random, but it's fun and it's exciting. So that's happening on Saturday. And I know Sayuri's going to be talking about marketing. As a woman in business these days, how should you market yourself? What can you do on the internet, and how do you position yourself in the market? So that's going to be quite educational, I think.
Yeah, I think so too. I'm super excited for the event. As you know, we're going to have Tanya signing her Bricks with Chicks. So that's where you can...
Bricks for Chicks.
Bricks for Chicks.
That's the one.
Bricks for Chicks.
And guys can also buy it. Secret formula,
Yeah,
ladies.
the event is mainly for us, but fine. You can, you can indulge.
I can get it.
Yes.
But yeah, I think, ladies, maybe it's 20 to 1. So Shadi and Tanya, if you could each just leave us with, what is one piece of advice or what message would you like to get to all the women in South Africa that are interested in property? Shadi, I'll start with you.
I can say be patient. Don't give up easily, because it can be quite sometimes challenging, but never give up, Continue with the journey. Read as much as you can. Tanya, please reserve one book for me for Saturday. And, reading, learning, investing in yourself, those are the things that, we really need as women.
Definitely.
That's
Awesome.
fantastic.
Thank you, Shadi. That's great. And thank you for your time today.
Thank you. Thank you.
Tanya, over to you.
Thank you, Andrew. I would say that education lays a solid foundation upon which you can build your dreams. So the main thing when you want to get into property investing, make sure you've got the right education, make sure you've got the right team around yourself, and make sure you understand exactly what you're getting into. And then find ways to overcome that fear. Having a team around you who knows what's going on will certainly help you overcome that. And just get out there and get started. Having multiple income streams is a form of self-love. And I think for us women, if you know that there's a possibility of being able to get income from multiple streams, it just opens up so many possibilities in your life. It opens up your headspace and it allows you to get out there and create the life of your dreams.
Awesome. That's great, Tanya. Thank you so much for your time, eh?
It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you for inviting me. I can hardly wait to meet all you ladies and the gents on Saturday.
Awesome, Tanya. Thank you so much.
Thank you very
Thanks,
much.
Cool.
Bye, everyone.
So, Dave, I can see there's a couple of questions. Let's see if you can give it a quick answer just before we wrap up.
From Zakile, when building more units, if zoning allows, can you start with construction while you're waiting for approval from your city council? I definitely would suggest not. Until you have approved building plans, I wouldn't put down a single brick. It's just you're asking for trouble if something does go wrong. And also if they find out you are building without approval that's already in place, they could make you take it down. So if you've built half of it and they say, well, your approval's not done, so break it down, then you've spent a lot of money. I know people who do it. I personally wouldn't. It's not worth the risk for, especially if it's already a property that's running and operating. You don't have a holding costs. Then there's no upside to it.
Definitely not. And there is Saskia, who is a town planner. She's one of our professional members on the professional members WhatsApp group. So Zakile, if you are on the WhatsApp group, you can reach out to Saskia Cole, our resident town planner.
Saskia will be there on the 20th as well.
What's today? Oh yeah, that's true, right? She's a guest speaker as well.
Oh, nice one.
Yeah, town planning, very important.
Very, very.
Yeah, Saskia Cole from KIPD will also be speaking on Saturday. Then a question from Priscilla. I have a property, but the problem is it's in my mother's names and she is unfortunately passed. The properties pay off. I want to know if what I want to know is if investors will invest. I want to do multiple 10 units. Priscilla, you have to wrap up the estate first. That is you can't do anything until that estate is concluded and finished and clear and you've paid your duties and the taxes that need to happen. That's just reality of it. I don't think there is an investor in this country who would invest in a property where the owner is still in flux like that through an estate process. It's too risky. So you definitely need to finish up that estate first.
And then as soon as you do that, Dave, and the property's in her name, I think the answer would then be yes, to go yes. Yeah. Because paid off, if it's a good opportunity where you can build 10 units, absolutely. But just get the legal stuff wrapped up first. If you need help with that, just shout. But otherwise, Dave, I think we've answered all the questions. It's been an awesome session. Let's close it off, and we'll see some of the members on Wednesday, this Saturday, and next week at the ABSA Bank public event. Was there anything from your side?
That's all from me. All the links are in the chat boxes and below the video. You can find everything that you need to join us in the events. And then for those of you guys who'll join me on Tuesday at lunchtime, I'll see you there.
Awesome.
Sorry,
Sounds
Wednesday.
good. Wednesday.
Bye, guys.
All right.
Cheers, everyone. See you soon.